All right, John, here are the men's team standings after 10 events concluded, and you can see that Florida and Georgia are only 7 points separating, and then LSU just 1 point back. It's still anybody's game through the top 6 as we get ready for 2 sections of the men's 4x100 meter relay final. The Houston Cougars setting that collegiate record last year at the national championships. LSU with the best time in the country and the best in the SEC. 2-section final. This is the first section for the 3 teams that have slower times coming in, but make no mistake, scoring can happen from either race. The Gamecocks will be in 5, and this is how they will hand off second, third, and then the anchor leg for South Carolina.
A very young contingent for South Carolina. You have 3 freshmen and a sophomore, also looking at Ole Miss right there, looking to be a factor and get some momentum rolling early on. There you have, as you look at how they are lining up out there, Raspo, Dreyer, Webb, and Broadnax there, different legs of this relay.
Neither of these teams has a senior on it, so we will likely see these teams in Section 2 next year. Missouri, South Carolina, and Ole Miss from the inside to the out, and South Carolina out to an early lead. Shaky pass there, but they made it in plenty of time.
Some work to do certainly on that second leg right there, Dwight, for South Carolina.
Very even between South Carolina and Ole Miss. Ole Miss grabs first. South Carolina does not make the pass. So it's Ole Miss versus Missouri now as they get ready for the anchor legs. A great third leg run by Missouri's Jason Ashford to get them back in contention. Is now the Tigers trying to make it happen on the inside. It's going to be a blanket. It is Missouri. Blanket of 2. Missouri comes from way behind due to a phenomenal third leg by Jason Ashford, their freshman, to get the stick to his teammate Nilo Clark. And Clark runs a great final leg, 40.74. That becomes the time to beat.
That illustrates just how little room for error there is across the board in this race. You see that first exchange, South Carolina bobbles it a little bit, and that would really set the tone for the rest of their race as they go into the second exchange right here. This is where things went wrong. Looks like he gets out well, but just cannot make that handoff, and that's where Ole Miss capitalizes. But then in the final leg, Nilo Clark, the transfer from SIU Edwardsville, where he also played soccer, a multi-sport athlete, putting his emphasis on track and field. He's already posted top 10 marks for Missouri this outdoor season in the 100, 200, and 400. Look at that closing power in those final 10 meters. Dives at the line. Looks like he gets him there based on the chest. Great closing work from Clark in that final leg. And last year, Dwight, we did see scoring from that first heat in the 4x1 event. Now we have those marks that they're going to be chasing.
So very close between 1 and 2. Missouri outleans Ole Miss by 0.03 of a second and establishes the time to beat for the Section 2 relay teams. John?
All right, thank you, Dwight. We'll take a little time here as they get ready, warmed up, loosened up, ready for that second section here of the 4x1. Take a look at the Coaches Association Division I Outdoor Rankings. There's Texas Tech at #1. Of course, remember the Red Raiders were ranked #1 indoor and fell all the way down to 6 in the actual competition. LSU, Florida, A&M's right there, and Dan Waters' Alabama team checking into the top 10. And as you see, all told, there's 7 of them in the top 20. And Arkansas, really a curious case. They probably don't have enough guys high end to make a dent in the national meet, but certainly they are a player here over the course of the 3 days of the SEC championship meet. So as always, the Division I rankings dominated by the SEC, and exactly the same over on the women's side as well. Arkansas, the indoor national champs, ranked #1. Pat Henry's crew is right there in his first season with Kentucky. Coach Green's got the Kentucky Wildcats in contention. So they have 6 there in the top 10, along with Georgia, which has fallen down some. They got hit by graduation and some folks going pro, but I would expect when to shed no tears for Petros, he'll have athletes and be back on the national stage a year from now. Back upstairs, we're ready for Section 2. Dwight?
All right. We have 9 teams in Section 2, and we're highlighting LSU in lane 5. They have the best time in the country and in the conference, obviously, 38-41. They always Jill Montgomery Lara Overton able to bring an amazing group in the 4x100 relay.
They also won this event at last year's SEC Outdoor Championship, and they have 3 guys returning from that championship team back running here today. You have Vincent, Hislop, Mosby, and Flournoy. All of those guys are going to also be back in individual events. Then you also are looking at Florida. They had the 3rd best mark in the NCAA entering the weekend, 38.52, their prior best. So much attention on the 4x100 this season. We have seen blazing fast speeds, so likely they will continue to do so. This is a very important event for these teams to set the tone for the rest of the championship, an opportunity for each of those schools who are in that team competition to get the ball rolling with their 4x1s. Very, very strong 4x100 relays.
You might have noticed that 3rd leg runner on the Florida team, Grant Holloway. He'll be running the far turn for the Gators. Well, you should see a lot of Grant today, both relays, as well as the 110-meter hurdle final. Only 900ths of a second separate season bests between LSU and Florida, and as always, it's about passing the stick. LSU in 5, Florida in 6. A little bit of a bobble for Florida, slows them down. Gators with Hakim Sani-Brown supposed to be on that 2nd leg. It gets it to Grant Holloway. That was a good pass. Now look at Holloway. Longest strides on the track, but very close between LSU and Florida. They pass pretty even. Florida passes first, but LSU is rolling. Jaron Flournoy and Ryan Clark for Florida. It's LSU. Oh, man. Oh, no celebrating before the line. That's Ejiakuekwu of Arkansas, who got tangled up with Jaron Flournoy, who tripped whilst celebrating early. Florida still wins the race. They crossed the line first. 38.85 is the winning time for Florida. Flournoy is going to be a busy guy. He's also going to be running the 100 later, but let's take a look at the exchanges. And this one was a little bit shaky for Florida.
Here you look at that first exchange. LSU gets it pretty clean there, and you do see exactly like you said, Hakim Sani-Brown almost has to slow up a little bit as he comes out of that exchange zone to be sure he has that baton secure in hand. Then Florida gets it right to Grant Holloway. He goes to work, makes up some significant ground right there, gets out very well. Then we can see this final exchange as he passes it off to Ryan Clark. Clark looks good, but then Jaron Flournoy goes to work. Look at how he accelerates and drives. Now, this is where he gets a little overly confident, perhaps, as he's looking all the way a couple steps before the line, trips up, takes a tumble, and then takes out Arkansas in the process. So got a little too confident there with about 5 meters to go. Celebrated a little bit, and now we have to hope that Arkansas recovers from that tumble taking at the line.
So LSU with 10 points, pardon me, in the first event of the day, 4x100 meter relay. They easily outdistance Florida, who gets 2nd. Arkansas 3rd. LSU doing it like they've been doing it all season in the 4x1.